Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. In our today's lecture, we'll continue with our NCERT marathon of Standard 9 Democratic Politics 1. It's my pleasure to welcome you all on Unacademy, India's largest learning platform, where you will get daily live classes, structured courses, unlimited access for live and recorded classes along with live tests. It's me, Rushikesh Inamdar, guiding UPSC aspirants from last 8 years. You can follow me on Unacademy and also you can join our Telegram group for daily updates. Yes friends, here is the mega subscription offer for those aspirants are planning to extend their validity of Unacademy subscription. We are providing this mega subscription offer where you can use code RBI Live and also you can extend your validity till next preliminary examination, that is 2022. Yes friends, this offer is valid till 31st March 2021. Yes, those aspirants are planning to start their preparation with our paid courses. We have Plus and Iconic courses where you can use referral code RBI Live to get 10% discount on your subscription. Yes, you can use referral code RBI Live to get 10% discount. Yes. So enroll yourself and start your preparation. The same discount is applicable on your optional subscription as well. Just you have to enter referral code RBI Live at the time of your subscription. Yes, those aspirants are pursuing their graduation and those aspirants are planning to start their preparation after their 12th examination. We have Iconic subscription for them where they can start their preparation along with the features of Plus courses and additional features like personal guidance, study planner and experts guidelines. Yes friends, congratulations to all aspirants who have cracked their Civil Services Main Examination 2020. Yes, so Unacademy is providing a free comprehensive guidance, interview guidance program to all those eligible candidates where our interview panel members and mentors will guide you throughout their interview guidance. We are conducting various sessions. We will provide you the flexible schedule. In this program, we will conduct like training sessions, data analysis, and mock interviews by experts. So, you can start your preparation for interview guidance. Yes, hello everyone. In today's session, we'll study about the class 9th NCERT Democratic Politics 1 page by page. Yes friends, those fresher or those who have still planning to start their preparation and they want to start this CSE preparation with general studies and optional, we have combo subscription option also where you will get 1 year, 2 year or 3 year subscription option. Again also you can use a referral code RBI Live to get 10% discount in this combo subscription. Yes friends. Yes. Free test series. Unacademy is providing free test series. Just you have to use code RBI Live to unlock these tests. So we will cover your complete general studies and current affairs part. Yes. So you can evaluate yourself throughout the preparation. Yes. These are new batches for 1 year batch, 2 year batches. NCERT batches are available. Yes. Hello Suman. Hello Harshita. In today's session, we'll learn NCERT of class 9. Yes. So these are new batches available on our Unacademy platform. Yes, friends. So we'll start our today's session where we will cover the Democratic Politics Part 1. This is the NCERT book for class 9th. Yes. We'll cover page by page. Yes. So friends, chapter 1, which will include what is democracy, why democracy. Chapter 2 is about constitutional design. Chapter 3, electoral politics. Chapter 4, working of institutions. Yes. And chapter 5, democratic rights. Yes, friends. So, yes, if we'll open the NCERT for class 9th for the political science, yes, name is Democratic Politics Part 1. So, just have overview how we'll cover the democracy. Yes. So, first question is that, friends, what is democracy? Yes, we have to understand democracy in detail as we have covered few dimensions of democracy in previous NCERTs as well. But in this, we will cover the complete idea regarding democracy. Yes. Then we will study about the features of democracy. Yes. So we have to understand clearly the bare minimum features of a democratic form of government. Yes, which after going through this chapter, we should be able to distinguish a democratic form of government from a non-democratic government. Yes. So, democracy is the most prevalent form of government in the world today, and it is expanding to more countries. Yes. So, democracy is the most prevalent form of government in the world, and it is expanding to more countries. Yes. Now, what is democracy? Yes, friends. So, through stories, we are covering in NCERT books. So important stories we will cover. Rest stories you can read during your idle time. Yes. Now, yes, request to all, you can open your NCERT book of standard 9 as well. Yes, what is democracy? Yes, so already we have covered different forms of government. Yes, in earlier sessions. So on the basis of that understanding of democracy, so for we will mentioning the examples. Yes, democratic governments and non-democratic governments. Yes, so before we proceed further, we'll see the story given by Mary in the classroom and Lingdoma. Yes. So before we proceed further, let us first take note on an objection by Mary, a student. She does not like this way of defining democracy and wants to ask some basic questions. So her teacher, Matilda Lingdo, responds to her questions as other classmates join the discussion. Yes. So friends, NCERTs explain all the concepts in a systematic manner through discussions, through stories, and we have to understand the basic concept. So Mary asked, "Ma'am, I don't like this idea. First we spend time discussing democracy and then we want to find out the meaning of democracy." Yes, Mary asked. She don't like the idea. First, she said, first we spend time discussing democracy and then we want to find out the meaning of democracy. I mean, logically, shouldn't we have approached it other way around? So, shouldn't the meaning have come first and then the example? Yes. Then her teacher replied, "I can see your point, but that is not how we reason in everyday life. We use words like pain, rain, or love. Do we wait to have a definition of these words before we use them? Or come to think of it, do we have clear definition of these words? Yes, it is only by using a word that we understand its meaning." Yes, so her teacher explained her with few examples. Then Mary asked, "By then, why do we need definitions at all?" Yes, so her teacher replied, "We need a definition only when we come across a difficulty in the use of a word. We need a definition of rain only when we wish to distinguish it from, say, drizzle or doubtburst." Yes, so the same is true for democracy. We need a clear definition only because people use it for different purposes, because very different kind of governments call themselves democracy. Yes. Okay. So यहां पे डेमोक्रेसी की जो डेफिनेशन के बारे में बताया जा रहा है, जैसे कि एनसीईआरटी बुक्स में काफी अच्छी तरीके से ये एक्सप्लेन किया गया है, कुछ स्टोरीज, कुछ डिस्कशंस. सो जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट स्टोरीज है वो हम कवर करेंगे. बाकी रेस्ट ऑफ द चीजें अब आपके जब भी आपके पास ऐसा वक्त हो, आपको लगे, तो ये स्टोरी जरूर आप पढ़ सकते हैं. तो यहां पे एक स्टोरी है, वो एक स्टूडेंट मेरी और उसके जो भी डाउट्स है उसको किस तरह से उनके टीचर ने टैकल किया है. एंड इस स्टोरी के तहत आप जान सकते हैं व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी इन simple words. So further story you can read when you will get time. Yes, now we'll come to our discussion, a simple definition. Yes. So on similarities and differences among governments that are called democracies. Yes. So one simple factor common to all democracies is the government is chosen by the people. Yes. In democracy, the government is chosen by the people. So we could thus start with a simple definition. Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes, friends. Now understand the simple definition. Yes. Democracy is the form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes. So democracy is a form of government in which rulers are elected by the people. So, this is the useful starting point. This definition allows us to separate democracy from forms of government that are clearly not democratic. Yes, the army rulers of Myanmar were not elected by the people. Those who happened to be control of army, control of the army become the rulers of the country. So people had no say in this decision. So dictators like Pinochet, Chile are not elected by the people. This also applies to monarchies. Yes, the kings of Saudi Arabia rule not because of the people have chosen them to do so, but because they happen to be born into the royal family. Yes, if we are talking about the democracy, a democratic government where the rurals or we can say the leaders are elected by the people, but whereas in non-democratic government or the monarch system, the rural are not chosen by the people. Yes, in specific monarchies where the people have chosen them to do so because they happen to be born into the royal family. Yes, royal family members are to be chosen as the leaders or rulers. So the simple definition is not adequate in this regard. Yes, so it reminds us the democracy is people's rule. But if we use this definition in an unthinking manner, we could end up calling almost every government that holds an election a democracy. Yes, but we have to understand the difference. So that could be a very misleading, as we shall find out in this series itself in the chapter 3 that every government is contemporary world wants to be called a democracy even if it is not so. Yes, so that is why we need to carefully distinguish between a government that is a democracy and one that pretends to be one. Yes, जैसे कि हमें यह समझना होगा लोकतंत्र असली लोकतंत्र क्या है और कुछ ऐसे गवर्नमेंट के सिस्टम्स हैं जहां पे उनके रूलर्स और लीडर्स लोगों के द्वारा नहीं डिसाइड किए जाते. यस, so every government in contemporary world wants to be called a democracy. Yes, even if it is not so. So that is why we need to carefully distinguish between a government that is a democracy and one that pretends to be one. So we can do so by understanding each word in this definition carefully and spelling out the of features out or spelling out the features of a democratic government. Yes. So, see, this cartoon was drawn when elections were held in Iraq with the presence of US and other foreign powers. Yes. So, what do you think this cartoon is saying? What is democracy written? The way it is? Yes. I hope many of you will understand. Yes. Now, so the democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Now, we'll see the features of democracy. Yes. See, friends. Sorry. Excuse me. Yes. Now we'll see with the features of democracy. लोकतंत्र के कुछ पहलू हम देखते हैं. Yes. So we have started with a simple definition that democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. So this definition itself is raises many questions like who are the rulers, what kind of election, who are the people, what kind of government. Yes, so who are the rulers in this definition? So which officials must be elected for any government to be called a democracy? Yes, like questions, which decision may be taken by non-elected officials in a democracy? Next question is raised like what kind of election constitutes a democratic election? What conditions must be fulfilled for an election to be considered democratic? Yes, who are the people who can elect the rurals or get elected as rurals? Rulers, yes. Should this include every citizen on equal basis? Can a democracy deny some citizens this right? Yes. Finally, what kind of a form of government is democracy? Can elected rulers do whatever they want in a democracy? Yes, or must a democratic government function with some limits? So, is it necessary for a democracy to respect some rights of the citizens? Let us consider each of these questions with help of some examples. Yes, we will study all these questions in step-by-step manner. Yes. So, major decisions by elected leaders. Yes, now we'll see. Yes. So, in our neighboring country, Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf led a military coup in October 1999. He overthrew a democratically elected government and declared himself the chief executive of the country. Later, he changed his designation to president and in 2002 held a referendum in the country that granted him a 5-year extension. Yes, so Pakistani media, human rights organizations, and democracy activists said that the referendum was based on malpractices and fraud. Yes, so the other stakeholders criticized that the referendum was the use, yes, that was in the rule with the malpractices and fraud. So in August 2002, he issued a legal framework order that amended the constitution of Pakistan. So according to this order, the president can dismiss the national and provincial assemblies. The work of the civilian cabinet is supervised by a national security council which is dominated by military officers. After passing this law, elections were held to the national and provincial assemblies. So, Pakistan has had elections. Elected representatives have some powers, but the final power rested with military officers and General Musharraf himself. Yes. So, this clearly there are many reasons why Pakistan under General Musharraf shall not be called democracy. But let us focus on one of this. So can we say that the rurals are elected by the people in Pakistan? Yes, not quite. People may have elected their representative to the national and provincial assemblies, but those elected representatives were not really the rurals. So they cannot take the final decisions. The power to take final decision rested with army officials and with General Musharraf, and none of them were elected by the people. Yes, so this happens in many dictatorships and monarchies. Yes, so they formally have an elected parliament. Yes, they formally have an elected parliament and government, but the real power is with those who are not elected. So, in a few countries, the real power was with some external powers and not with locally elected representatives. So, this cannot be elected or this cannot be called people's rule. Yes. So, this given us the first feature. So, in democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Yes. This is the first feature, that is in a democracy, the final decision making power must be rest with those elected by the people. Yes. So the, now understand the first feature, that is in a democracy the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Yes. Then free and fair election competition. Yes, friends. So now in the world's context, in China, elections are regularly held after every 5 years for electing the country's parliament. Yes. So called Kongyo Renmin Dabio Dahui National People's Congress. So the National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of the country. It has already 3,000 members elected from all over China. Some members are elected by the army. Yes. Before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. So only those who are members of the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to it were allowed to contest elections held in 2002-2003. So the government is always formed by the Communist Party. Yes. Now, before studying about free and fair electoral competition, we understand the example of China. Yes, where the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to Chinese Communist Party is powerful in the process of elections. Yes, after the approval, or we can say the permission by the Chinese Communist Party, then the member can participate in the elections. Yes. So the government is always formed by the Communist Party, and since its independence in 1930, Mexico holds elections after every 6 years to elect its president. Yes, now in case of Mexico, since the independence in 1930, Mexico holds elections after every 6 years to elect its president. And the country has never been under a military or dictator's rule. But until 2000, every election was won by the party called PRI, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party. Yes, in Mexico. So opposition parties did not contest elections but never managed to win. Yes. So opposition parties did contest elections but never managed to win. Yes, in Mexico, the opposition parties are also participated in the elections but never managed to win. So the PRI, that is Institutional Revolutionary Party, yes. So the PRI was known to use many dirty tricks to win elections. So all those who were employed in government offices had to attend its party meetings. Teachers of government schools used to force parents to vote for the PRI. Media largely ignored the activities of opposition political parties except to criticize them. Yes, sometimes the polling booths were shifted from one place to another in the last minute, which made it difficult to people to cast their votes. Yes, so the PRI spent a large sum of money in the campaign for its candidates. Yes, friends. So, should we consider the election described above as example of people electing their rules? So, reading these examples, we get a sense that we cannot. So, there are many problems here. In China, the election do not offer the people any serious choice. They have to choose the ruling party and the candidates approved by it. Yes, we can call this a choice. Yes. So, can we call this a choice? So, in the Mexican example, people seem to really have a choice, but in practice, they had no choice. So, there was no way to ruling party could be defeated, even if people were against it. These are not fair elections. Yes. Now, we can thus add a second feature to our understanding of democracy. Holding elections of any kind is not sufficient. The elections must offer a real choice between political alternatives, and it should be possible for people to use this choice to remove the existing rulers. Yes, if they wish to so. Yes, if they wish so. A democratic must be based on a free and fair elections where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Yes. So we shall find out more about democratic elections in the next chapter. Yes, one person, one vote, one value. Before going to this topic, one person, one vote, one value, just have a recap what we have covered. Yes. So, democracy, simple definition of democracy. Democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes, rulers are the elected by the people. Yes. Now, then features of democracy we have started, where first feature is democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. This is the definition of simple definition of democracy. Now, the first feature is in a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Yes, this is the first feature. Then we have covered free and fair election competition. Yes. Yes, then we have covered the example of Mexico in this regard. Now, we will see one person, one vote, one value. Yes. So earlier, we read about how to struggle for democracy was linked to the demand for universal adult franchise. Yes, so this principle has now come to be accepted almost all over the world. Yet, there are many instances of denial of equal right to vote. Yes. So, Yet there are many instances of denial of equal right to vote. Yes. So until 2015, in Saudi Arabia, women did not have the right to vote. Yes, Estonia have made its citizenship rules in a such way that people belonging to Russian minority find it difficult to get the right to vote. Yes, Estonia. Then example of Fiji, the electoral system is such that the vote of an indigenous Fiji has more value than of an Indian Fijian. Yes. So democracy is based on a fundamental principle of political equality that gives us the third feature of democracy, that is, in a democracy each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. Yes. So in the further chapters we'll see this in detail. So now just understand, in a democracy each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. Yes, friends. Then, the rule of law and respect for rights. Yes, now see the cartoons where this cartoon is about the Iraqi elections held after Saddam Hussein's regime was overthrown. So he is show behind the bars. What is the cartoon is saying here? Comparative message of this cartoon with the first cartoon in this chapter. Yes. Now, rule of law and respect for rights. So in this cartoon, they talked about the Iraqi elections held after Saddam Hussein's regime was overthrown. Yes. Now, yes, friends. So, Zimbabwe attained independence from white minority rule in 1980. Now, with the example of Zimbabwe, rule of law and respect for rights. Yes, Zimbabwe attained independence from white minority rule in 1980. Since then, the country has been ruled by ZANU-PF, the party that led the freedom struggle. Yes, its leader, Robert Mugabe, ruled the country. Yes. So, the Mugabe ruled the country since independence. So, elections were held regularly and always won by ZANU-PF. Yes. So, President Mugabe was popular but also used unfair practices in elections. Yes. So, over the years, his government changed the constitution several times to increase the powers of the parliament and make him less accountable. Yes. So Opposition party, opposition party workers were harassed and their meeting disrupted. Yes. So public protests and demonstrations against the government were elected or will declared illegal. So law there is a law that limited the right to criticize the president. Yes, there was a law that limited the right to criticize the president. Yes, television and radio were controlled by the government and give only the ruling party's version. They were independent newspaper, but the government harassed those journalists who went against it. The government ignored some court judgments that went against it and punished judges. He was forced out of office in 2017. Yes. So, the example of Zimbabwe shows that popular approval of the rulers is necessary in a democracy. Yes. But it is not sufficient. Popular governments can be undemocratic. So, popular leaders can be autocratic. If we wish to assess a democracy, it is important to look at the elections. Yes, but it is equally important to look before and after the elections. Yes, there are should be sufficient room for normal political activity, including political opposition in the period before elections. So, this requires that the state should respect some basic rights of the citizen. Yes. So, constitution. Yes. So, there should be a sufficient room for normal political activity, including political opposition. So, in the period before elections, this requires that the state should respect some basic rights of the citizen. Yes. So, they should be free to think, to have opinions, to express these in public, to form associations, to protest and take other political actions. Everyone should be equal in the eyes of law. So, these rights must be protected by an independent judiciary whose orders are obeyed by everyone. We shall read more about in this book itself. Yes, similarly, there are some conditions that apply to the way a government is run after the elections. Yes, a democratic government cannot do whatever it likes simply because it has won an election. It has to respect some basic rules. In particular, it has to respect some guarantees to the minorities. Yes, every major decision has to go through a series of consultations. Every office bearer has certain rights and responsibilities assigned by the constitution and the law. Yes, each of these accountable not only to the people but also to other independent officials. Yes, we will read about in the further chapters in detail. So after that, now we'll see the fourth and final feature of the democracy. A democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. Yes. So the fourth feature of democracy is a democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. Yes. So now we'll see the summary definition. So let us sum up the discussion so far. We started with a simple definition that democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Now, we found that this definition was not adequate unless we explained some of the keywords used in it. Yes, though a series of examples we worked out four features of democracy as a form of government. So accordingly, democracy is a form of government in which rulers elected by the people take all the major decisions. Yes, elections offer a choice and fair opportunity to the people to change the current rulers. The choice and opportunity is available to all the people on an equal basis. Yes, the exercise of this choice heads to a government limited by basic rules of the constitution and citizens rights. Yes. So with the four features, yes, so free and fair electoral competition we have covered. Yes. Now, a democracy must be based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Yes. Next feature, in a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. Yes. Then, fourth feature is a democracy government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. Yes. So, as we have learned initially, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes. Yes. Now, so here we'll have an overview on such nations and countries where the denial of democracy in these nations, some nations. Yes, King of Bhutan, King of Bhutan has declared that in future he will be guided by the advice given by him by elected representatives. Yes, so the future of the Korea, yes, no, the future of this, the King of Bhutan has declared that in future he will guided by the advice given to him by elected representatives, that is the future like rule of law. Then many Tamil workers who migrated from India were not given a right to vote in Sri Lanka. Yes, this is the matter of respect for rights, respect for rights. Yes, the king imposed a ban on political gatherings, demonstrations, and rallies, which is mentioned in One Pension, One Vote, One Value. Yes, the Indian Supreme Court held that the dissolution of Bihar Assembly was unconstitutional. Yes. So, political parties in Bangladesh have agreed that a neutral government should rule the country at the time of elections. Yes. Now, with this chapter, we'll see with chart. Now we'll see why democracy. Yes. Now we'll see the why democracy. Yes, friends. So, debating merits of democracy. Yes. So you can read the debate on merits of democracy later on. Now we'll see arguments against democracy. Yes. So this conversation has most of the arguments that we routinely hear against democracy. Let us go over some of these arguments. Yes. Just give me a moment, friends. Yes. Now, so friends, arguments against democracy. So, leaders keep changing in a democracy. This leads to instability. Democracy is all about political competition and power play. There is no scope for morality. Yes. Then, so many people have to be consulted in a democracy that it leads to delays. Yes. Now, so many people have to be consulted in a democracy that it leads to delays. Elected leaders do not know the best interest of the people. It leads to bad decisions. Democracy leads to corruption for it based on electoral competition. Yes, ordinary people don't know what is good for them, so they should not decide anything. Yes, there are some other arguments against democracy that we can think of. Yes, which of these arguments applies mainly to democracy? Which of these can apply? To misuse of any form of government? Yes, which of this do you agree with? Yes, so clearly democracy is not a magical solution for all the problems. So it has not ended poverty in our country and in other parts of the world. So democracy as a form of government only ensure that people take their own decisions. Yes, this does not guarantee that their decisions will be good. People can make mistakes involving the people in these decisions does lead to delays in decision making. So it is also true that democracy leads to frequent changes in leadership. So sometimes this can set back big decisions and affect the government's efficiency. Yes. So these arguments show that democracy of the kind we see may not be the ideal form of government. Yes, but that is not a question we face in real life. So, the real question we face is different. Is democracy better than other form of government that are there for us to choose from? Yes. Now we'll see. Argument for democracy. China's famine of 1958 to 1961 was the worst recorded famine in the world history. So nearly 3 crore people died in this famine. During those days, India's economic condition was not much better than China. Yet India did not have a famine of the kind China had. So economists think that this was a result of different government policies in the two countries. So the existence of democracy in India made the Indian government respond to food scarcity in a new way that the Chinese government did not. Yes, they point out that no large scale famine has ever taken place in an independent and democratic country. Yes, if China too had multi-party elections, an opposition party, and a press free to criticize the government, then so many people may not have died in the famine. Yes. So this example brings out one of the reasons why democracy is considered the best form of government. So democracy is better than any other form of government in responding to the needs of the people. A non-democratic government may and can respond to the people's needs, but it all depends on the wishes of the people who rule. Yes, if the rulers don't want to, they don't have to act according to the wishes of the people. A democracy requires that the rulers have to attend to the needs of the people. Yes, a democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. Yes. So a democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. So there is another reason why democracy should lead to better decisions than non-democratic government. So democracy is based on consultation and discussion. A democratic decision always involves many persons, discussions and meetings. So when a number of people put their heads together, they are able to point out possible mistakes in any decision, and this takes time. But there is a big advantage in taking time over important decisions. So this reduces the chances of rash or irresponsible decisions. Thus, democracy improves the quality of decision making. And then this is related to the third argument. Democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts. Yes. So, democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts. So, in any society, people are bound to have differences of opinions and interests. These differences are particularly sharp in a country like ours, which has an amazing social diversity. People belong to different regions, speak different languages, practice different religions, and have different castes. Yes, they look at the world every differently. They look at the world very differently and have different preferences. Yes, the preferences of the group can clash with those of other groups. So, how do we resolve such conflict? Yes, the conflict can be solved by brutal power. Whichever group is more powerful will dictate its terms, and others will have to accept that. But that would lead to resentment and unhappiness. So, different groups may not be able to live together for long in a such way. So, where democracy provides the only peaceful solution to this problem. So, in democracy, no one is permanent winner. Yes, no one is a permanent loser. So, different groups can live with one another peacefully in a diverse country like India. So, democracy keeps our country together. Yes, these three arguments were about the effects of democracy on the quality of government and social life. But the strongest argument for democracy is not about what democracy does to the government. It is about what democracy does to the citizens. Yes, even if democracy does not bring about better decisions and accountable government, it is still better than other forms of government. Yes, democracy enhances the dignity of citizens. Yes. So, as we discussed about, democracy is based on the principle of political equality, on recognizing that the poorest and the least educated has the same status as the rich and the educated. Yes, people are not subjects of a ruler. They are the rulers themselves. Even when they make mistakes, they are responsible for their conduct. So finally, democracy is better than other forms of government because it allows us to correct its own mistakes. Yes. So, democracy is better than other forms of government because it allows us to correct its own mistakes. As we saw above, there is no guarantee that mistakes cannot be made in democracy. No form of government can guarantee that. So, the advantage in a democracy is that such mistake cannot be hidden for long, and there is a space for public discussion on these mistakes, and there is a room for correction. Yes, either the rulers have to change their decisions or the rulers can be changed. So, this cannot happen in a non democratic government. Yes, let us sum it up. Democracy cannot get us everything and is not the solution to all problems. Yes, but it is clearly better than any other alternative that we know. Yes, it offers better chances of a good decision. It is likely to respect people's own wishes and allows different kinds of people to live together. Yes, even when it fails to do some of these things, it allows a way of correcting its mistakes. Yes, and offers more dignity to all citizens. So that is why democracy is considered the best form of government. Yes. Now, after that, we'll see broader meaning of democracy. Yes, now we'll see the broader meaning of democracy. So, in this chapter, we have considered the meaning of democracy in a limited and descriptive sense. So, we have understood democracy as a form of government. Yes, this way of defining democracy helps us to identify a clear set of minimal features that a democracy must have, and the most common form that democracy takes in our times is that of a representative democracy. you have we have already read about in the previous classes. Yes, so in the countries we call democracy, all the people do not rule. A majority is allowed to take decisions on behalf of all the people. Yes, even the majority does not rule directly. The majority of people rule through their elected representative, and this become necessary because modern democracies involve such a large number of people that it is physically impossible for them to sit together and take a collective decision. Even if they could, the citizen does not have the time, the desire, or the skills to take part in all the decisions. This gives us a clear but minimal understanding of democracy, and this clarity helps us to distinguish democracies from non-democracies, but it does not allow us to distinguish between a democracy and a good democracy. Yes, it does not allow us to see the operation of democracy beyond government. For this, we need to turn to broader meaning of democracy. Yes, sometimes we use democracy for organization other than the government. Yes, so we are a very now we'll read the few sentences like statements. We are a very democratic family. Whenever a decision has to be taken, we all sit down and arrive at consensus. My opinion matters as much as my father's. I don't like teachers who do not allow students to speak and ask questions in the class. I would like to have a teachers with a democratic temperament. One leader and his family members decide everything in this party. How can they talk of democracy? Yes. So these ways of using the word democracy go back to its basic sense of a method of taking decisions. A democratic decision involves consultation with and consent, consent of all those who are affected by that decision. So, these ways of using the word democracy go back to its basic sense of a method of taking decisions. A democratic decisions involves consultation with and consent of all those who are affected by that decision. So those who are not powerful have the same say in taking the decision as those who are powerful. Yes, this can apply to a government or a family or any other organization. So this democracy is also a principle that can be applied to any sphere of life. So sometimes we use the word democracy not to describe any existing government, but to set up an ideal standard that all democracies must aim to become. Yes. So true democracy will come to this country only when no one goes hungry to bed. Yes, in a democracy, every citizen must be able to play equal role in decision making. For this, you don't need just an equal right to vote. Every citizen needs to have equal information, basic education, equal resources, and a lot of commitment. Yes, if we take these ideas seriously, then no country in the world is a democracy. Yet, an understanding of democracy as an ideal reminds us of why we value democracy. It enables us to judge an existing democracy and identify its weaknesses. It helps us to distinguish between a minimal democracy and a good democracy. Yes. So, our focus here is with some core institutional features of democracy as a form of government. Yes, in the further classes like 10th or 11th, 10th, we'll read more about the democratic society and ways of evaluating our democracy. So at this stage, we just need to know that democracy can apply to many spheres of life and that democracy can take many forms. So there can be various ways of taking decisions in a democratic manner as long as the basic principle of consultation on an equal basis is accepted. So the most common form of democracy in today's world is rule through people's elected representatives. We shall read more about that in next chapter. So, but if the community is small, there can be other ways of taking democratic decisions. So all the people can sit together and take decisions directly. So this is how Gram Sabha should work in a village. Yes. Can you think of some other democratic ways of decision making? Yes. So this also means no country is perfect. Yes. So this means that no country is perfect democracy. The features of democracy that we discussed in this chapter provide only the minimum conditions of a democracy. Yes. So that does not make it an ideal democracy. Every democracy has to try to realize the ideals of a democratic decision making. And this cannot be achieved once and for all. So this requires a constant effort to save and strengthen democratic forms of decision making. So what we do as a citizen can make a difference to making our country more or less democratic. So this is the strength and the weaknesses of democracy. So the fate of the country depends not just on what the rulers do, but mainly on what we as citizens do. Yes. So this is what distinguished democracy from other governments. So other forms of government like monarchy, dictatorship, or one party rule do not require all citizens to take part in politics. In fact, most non-democratic governments would like citizens not to take part in politics. But democracy depends on active political participation by all the citizens, and that is why Study of democracy must focus on democratic politics. Yes. So, in the next session, we'll discuss about constitutional design. Before that, just have a recap what we have covered in this session. Yes, we have covered what is democracy. A simple definition, that is, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Then we have covered who are the rulers, what kind of election, who are the people, form of government. Yes. So, in a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Yes. So, in a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. Then the features, like a democracy must based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. In a democracy, each audit correction. In democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. Yes. Then we have covered rule of law, respect for rights. Then next feature, that is a democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. So, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. Yes. So, rulers elected by the people take all the major decisions. Elections offer a choice and fair opportunity to the people to change the current rulers. Yes, this choice and opportunity is available to all the people on an equal basis. The exercise of this choice leads to a government limited by basic rules of the constitution and citizens' rights. Yes. Then, debating merits of democracy, we have covered why democracy. Arguments against democracy and arguments for democracy we have covered. Yes, so a democratic government is a better government because it is more accountable form of government. Yes, thus democracy improves the quality of decision making. Yes, democracy provides a method to deal with differences and conflicts. Yes, democracy enhances the dignity of citizens. Yes. Then democracy is better than other forms of government because it allows us to correct its own mistakes. Yes. Then we have covered broader meanings of democracy. Yes. So modern democratics involves a large number of people that it is physically impossible to them to sit together and take collective decision. Yes. Then even if they could, the citizen does not have the time, the desire, or the skills to take part in all the decisions. Yes. So sometimes we use the word democracy not to describe any existing government, but to set up an ideal standard that all democracies must aim to become. So true democracy will come to this country only when no one goes hungry to bed. Yes, in a democracy, every citizen must be able to play equal role in decision making. So for this, we don't need just an equal right to vote. So every citizen needs to have equal information, basic education, equal resources, and a lot of commitment. Yes. So accordingly we have covered the what is democracy and why democracy. Yes. So this is what distinguished democracy from other governments. So other forms of government like monarchy, dictatorship, or one party rule do not require all citizens to take part in politics. So in fact, most non-democratic governments would like citizens not to take part in politics, but democracy depends on active political participation by all the citizens. Yes, that is why a study of democracy must focus on democratic politics. Yes. So friends, that's it for today's session. In the next part, we'll continue with the same NCERT and we will cover remaining topics. So before that, do not forget to join our Telegram group, and also you can use referral code RBL Live to get 10% discount in our paid courses. Yes, like, share and subscribe Unacademy's video. And friends, those aspirants are planning to appear for preliminary examination. It's time to boost up your preparation with our test series. We are providing free of cost this test series. So do not miss the opportunity to attend this test series. Yes, friends. So that's it for today's lecture. See you in the next class with the continuation of our marathon part 2 for the NCERT 9th standard. Yes. So keep studying, keep revising. All the best. Thank you.